Welcome at Pizza and More. Lots of people think in a pizza dough with type 0 or type 00, this is not nice, this is not healthy because there are too less minerals in this dough. That's absolutely correct. I'm Jürgen and we make at this time a pizza dough which has much more minerals in it like a normal dough from type 0 or 00. And these are the normal kinds of pizza flour we know. But today I want to use a pizza flour which is from type 0. The type 0 pizza flour has far more minerals in it like a normal pizza flour. This is so the pre-step to the full corn flour. So lots of peel pieces of a normal corn are in this flour. Now you have to think about a wheat corn. How does a wheat corn look like? In the center, the core of a wheat corn is totally white, has no peels at it, only the core, only the center, and this is, as I said, white. If we mill it, it is a total white flour. But in this core, there are very less minerals, but lots of protein. If we go further to the outside of the corn and we look at the peel, the different shades of the peel, there are more minerals in the peel, but less protein. That's a bit a problem because the more of the minerals we have in our flour, the less protein we have. But as we know, we need minimum 12% protein to build a proper gluten structure in our pizza. And what should we do? But this flour I use today, this type 0, the mill already put some additional protein into this flour so that this flour I use today has 15% of protein. You will say, oh wow, a huge amount of protein. That's correct. And it's a very, very strong flour. It has a W value of 380, which means the leavening time of this dough needs to be minimum 24 hours. Better would be 48 or 72 hours. So if we would have a leavening time only of 8 hours with this kind of flour, then I can guarantee when we bake the pizza would be very tough and it's very hard to stretch it and it's not so nice to eat. It's like a chewing gum. That's the reason why we have to let the dough raise for minimum 24, as I said, better 48 or 72 hours. In this case today, we will make a direct dough. However, with this flour is very good, or it's very good possible to make biga or poolish with this flour because of the long leavening time. But we make today or at this time a direct dough, which means all ingredients into the bowl of the mixer, mix everything up. Then we let it rest for 30 minutes. We create the dough balls. Then again, 1 hour at room temperature, and then we put the dough balls into the fridge until we bake the pizza. And now I would say we start with our ingredients. So what ingredients do we need? We have here, as I said, 500 grams of this type 1 flour. I have here 350 grams of cold water, very cold water, 350 grams. Will end up in a 70% hydration, and you need to know the more pieces of peel are in a flour, the more water a flour can absorb. As next, we have here 0.6 grams of dried yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, you have to use 1.6 grams. And here we have 15 grams of fine sea salt. We start to add the water into the mixer. The next we add into our mixer is the flour. We can add directly the whole portion. And we add our yeast. And then we start the machine and we start for around, or we let it mix for around 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, we add the salt. Now, when everything is mixed up, then we add our sea salt. There is now no danger anymore that our salt comes in direct contact with our yeast. And now we can continue kneading. The whole kneading time will be around 20 minutes, and we knead now until the window test works. My dough had a kneading time of around 15 minutes. Yes, of course, only 15 minutes, but I think from the sound of kneading, the dough is ready. I make now the window test. To make the window test, it's the easiest to cover your hands with water or with some olive oil, or you can also use flour, it doesn't matter. But if you use something, then the dough won't stick that heavy to your fingers. The window test is done. You take some dough out of the bowl. You make a ball and then you try to stretch this ball. And if this is possible to stretch it very thin, then you see, okay, the gluten structure is properly built and the dough is ready kneaded. Now I take the dough out onto my counter. If you have then the dough in front of you on the counter, it might be not a nice ball, like here for me I have also no nice ball, but now we create a nice ball, which means we lift the dough, we put it back onto the counter, we stretch it and then we fold it over, and this is the so-called stretch and fold technique. If we do this several times, the dough will stop sticking and we help the dough to create additionally a nice gluten structure. You can see already here the strong surface my dough has. I turn it several times, I pull it, I turn it and I pull it, and then you see how strong the surface of my dough is. You might see here some dark dots on your dough. Don't worry, these dots are from the peel from the corn. That's totally normal. Now we cover the dough with a bowl or with whatever, and we let it rest at room temperature for around 30 minutes. My dough rested now for 30 minutes, which means now it's time to create our pizza balls. You can see here the dough is now divided into 3 pieces. Each piece has 290 grams. And now I shape one of the balls. If you want to see the different versions how to shape the balls, please watch some of my other videos. There I explained it very detailed. But to show again one possibility, I always, and this is the preferred one of me, I always take the dough and press it to the bottom, and from the bottom towards the top. The best is between the fingers, and then you see how strong the surface of the dough is. And if you did it, and if it's strong enough, then you press at the bottom, and then you see the dough ball is closed properly and the dough ball is ready. And I do this now with all the 3 and place them in the ball box. And now the 3 dough balls are prepared. They are in the box. I close the lid of the box and I let them rest now for around 30 minutes, for around 1 hour at room temperature. And then I put them into the fridge for around 45 hours. As I said, we will have this time a total evening time of 48 hours. Round about 2 hours, because the forecast has a very hot weather, around 2 hours before baking, I take them out of the fridge so that they can get onto room temperature. If it's colder, then the time in the fridge needs to be a bit shorter and the time at room temperature a bit longer. So if it in cold regions or if it's winter or something like that, then it could be also the case that we have to take the dough or the dough balls 6 hours or 5 hours before baking out of the fridge. My dough had now a leavening time for good 48 hours. 2 hours ago I took it out of the fridge and I let it rest for the last 2 hours at room temperature here in the kitchen. It's not too warm in the kitchen, but it's relatively warm. And I prepared already all ingredients. I have here my tomato sauce, the original Italian Neapolitan tomato sauce. How I make this tomato sauce? Well, it's only tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes and some sea salt. I made already a video around all the tomatoes, around how to make the tomato sauce and so on. And you will find this video or a link to this video in the video description. I have here some fior di latte. By the way, if you want to use mozzarella, which is in this salty water, then please open the bag, remove the salty water, take your mozzarella out of the bag, cut it into sticks, put it into a sieve and put it into the fridge for around 24 hours. So all the water which is in the mozzarella can drain, and then this prevents our pizza from being too soggy. Then I have here some fresh basil. I have grana padano. I have nice olive oil. And of course I have here the pizza dough. And I would say let's start directly with our pizza. And here you can see all our ingredients. Well, here is the basil. This is something which is actually not on the video. And here are our dough balls. You will see here is already one missing and I have 6 dough balls and not only 3. This is because, as you may know, I make also German videos, and for the German video I removed already one of the dough balls, and I put, when we made the dough, all dough balls into one container because the other containers were occupied from some other dough. So how to remove the dough and how to stretch the pizza, this is also something where I made own video already. You will find, or I will add this video or the link to this video also in the video description. But in a very short thing, I take some semolina, I put it over the dough ball we want to remove, and I put some semolina everywhere where it's attached to anything else, either to the box or to another dough ball. And then I release it. It's important to be very gentle. Take the dough out. If you see it sticks somewhere, don't pull it, because otherwise the dough gets stressed and you have no chance to form a nice pizza anymore. I put it into a semolina bed, then I flip it sometimes around, take it out, and if the dough ball is not round, like mine here, then very gentle I try to make a round shape, and then we start pressing from the center to the crust all the air, like it is usual for a Neapolitan pizza. Now, when we formed our pizza, our pie, it's not important that it has the final size, because the final size will then be done on the peel. We start with our toppings. We start with some tomato sauce. From now on, as soon as the tomato sauce is on the pie, we have to be a bit quick, because the tomato sauce would weaken up our dough, which means it will start being soggy or sticky. That's the right word. The next we add is some fresh basil. And then some fresh grated Parmesan cheese or grana padano, what you ever have or what's possible to get. And the next is already the cheese. In my case I have here fior di latte, and you see it's cut it in sticks already. And then we add a bit of nice olive oil, and then it's ready for the oven. I put here some semolina onto my peel, and then I lift here the dough, push the peel under, and then I stretch the pizza to its final size. And here is the oven. The oven is already preheated to 460 degrees on the stone. And here it's very important always to turn the pizza in the oven, otherwise it will be burned. And now we add our final toppings, a few leaves of fresh basil, and then our pizza is done. Our healthy pizza is done. Let's cut it and let's see how full of air this crust is. That's the reason why I cut it with scissors, because only in this way you don't press the dough or the crust, and you can show how much air is here inside of the crust. And now of course I have to taste our healthy pizza. At first I take a bite from the center. And this is exactly like I thought. We taste all the different ingredients. We taste the fantastic tomatoes. We taste the fantastic cheese and the fresh basil. So it's really a nice taste from each of the different toppings. Really great. From the dough we don't taste too much at the center because there is too less dough. But now I take a bite from the crust to check how our healthy dough is. Yeah, and this is exactly like I thought. It is really strong in taste. No, not strong. It has more taste than a normal pizza dough. But okay, this is also because of the 48 hours leavening time. But also this type Uno flour has lots more aroma than a normal 0 or 00 flour. However, this is a pizza dough which is a bit more healthy. It's fantastic to make this dough. This dough is super easy to handle. You saw it's full of air. The crust is crispy around, in the center it's very soft. It's really great, this pizza. And as I said already, this dough is also perfectly to make a pre-dough, so Polish or biga. And if you want to make a biga, I already made a recipe or a video about Polish or biga, but here I have the video linked with 100% biga. If you like my video, then it would be fantastic if you would subscribe my channel, and then ciao.